They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on your shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
We're back for a Bluebird. It's just two of us. One of us is on vacation, enjoying himself somewhere in the great United States of America. Somewhere probably has ice and protests this weekend at the same time because those seem to be happening everywhere. So they've definitely ramped up public eye of ICE movements. I'm not necessarily sure that actual enforcement has ramped up any. Numbers are still atrociously low, which is why I think the public spectacle is getting bigger. So,
Yeah.
because the spectacle gives the perception that we're actually accomplishing things, but the raw numbers don't. But then, because you give the spectacle, you can say the raw numbers are a lie
Right.
so that it's fake news or this media or bad pollsters. Or, then we have Israel woke up and ate their Wheaties one day and decided to effectively bomb Iran's nuclear sites. That happened live in real time last week. That has done nothing but escalate. And two, what modern war will probably look like. So a lot less soldiers, a lot more technology.
Yeah, a lot of
Um,
bombs being thrown. That's
yeah,
why
a lot of bombs.
that's why Trump wants to double our defense budget while reducing our troop strength by 20%.
Yeah, yeah, that's either that or because he has a Fox News host who's sec deaf who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But
Well,
we'll move on past
more
that.
more likely they're lobbyists that are lining his pockets so
Uh,
that they can get bigger
that's
contracts.
definitely more likely. Actually, Hegseth got questioned by Slotkin. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's from Michigan.
Yeah.
Um, this week, and the the MAGA people were like, well, what gives her the right? I don't know, bro. She's a multiple time combat vet. She worked for the CIA and she wasn't a news host, bitch. Because she actually knows what the fuck she's talking about from real world
Yeah.
experience and
Well,
not
not
because she was on TV show.
and not only that, she's an elected representative. She has the right to ask any and all questions in order
Mhm.
to get answers for the American people. Like
And
people forget.
they never answer the fucking
Never. Hell,
none of them.
most of the politicians don't even ask questions. They're like, "Isn't it true that blah 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 whatever it is that point that I want to make? Oh, you're not going to answer the question anyway. I yield back." Like,
Yeah, it's a very lawyer-esque trial
that's
jury
terrible
moment. It
because
is
there's
terrible.
no teeth. Nothing ever happens because of those. You know?
Well, it does in the social media sphere because these people are stupid. But yeah, but he just sits there and just gobbledygook,
Yeah.
like me drunk off of a whole fifth, like gobbledygook, like nothing makes sense. And it's not just him; it's all of them. Him, it might be because he's drunk over a fifth, but for the rest of them, it's because you can only lie through your teeth for so long. So Israel, Iran, he came out and said, "Well, we're going to give it 2 weeks." Well, 2 weeks is like we're waiting for a lot of things. 2 weeks, 2 week healthcare, 2 week infrastructure, 2 week tariffs. Two weeks is like his catchphrase. Like 2 weeks,
Yeah, well,
2 weeks,
it's
right?
it's
So,
it's it's that
uh,
setup that we keep talking about where, as the negotiator, he's got to make a big explosion and then 2 weeks later he's fixed it all.
yeah, 2 weeks, but
Weeks.
he doesn't do anything. It never comes to fruition.
Well, he
So
tacos
a
back.
reporter asked KKK Caroline, press sec, that question today. Like, so is this going to be like a real 2 weeks, or is it going to be like all these other 2 weeks? And she went into this absolute tirade of fucking nothingness.
Yeah.
It sounded straight out of like Alice in Wonderland. Like, what? Like Tweedledee and Tweedledum are having a fucking conversation here, and you're the press secretary,
Right.
and your overall statement that you could barely get out of your word salad was, it isn't his fault. It's the previous administration's incompetence. That's the answer to why he said 2 weeks, because Biden used to be president.
Yeah.
That's so he said 2 weeks because Biden.
Yeah.
And they buy it. And that's what we were talking before. They buy this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm absolutely positively, literally mind blown. There's all the things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all the things that this, and they do have some viable counterpoints. I disagree with them, but they're viable.
Sure.
But they just believe all of it. And how do you look at it? And then the worst part, it will always blow my mind the most. Most of his voters are rural people. That's inarguable. Okay? Most rural people have outdoor skills to some degree. Like, we're exposed to it, where, you know what I'm saying? You either can camp or fish or hunt or shoot guns, or, you know what I'm saying, drive a combine, like run a tractor, run a backhoe.
Their critical thinking skills are straightforward and linear.
Yes, but lots of them fish, and lots of them sit at the bar, and lots of them know what a fish story is.
Mm-hmm.
They know that Terry didn't catch a 9-pound bass. They know it didn't fucking happen, but they're going to sit there and let Terry talk about it. But then when he goes to the bathroom, they're all just going to be like, what? So you're aware of how a fish story is created, why it was created, how it's delivered, and you're this stupid, you don't see it, because these are all fish stories.
All fish stories, yeah.
And they fit the exact algorithm of a fish story.
Yeah, except that they're short, that they're claiming they're catching great whites in the river.
Yeah, but they just don't know what a bull shark is. So, because you can do that. I know you know, but they might not know. So there's other people that watch or listen to this. I don't know why, but they do. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just that never ending, right? So, but a couple of like full scale stories have closed. So a while back, we brought up the woman in Georgia who was being used as an incubator.
Yeah.
So she has now passed, and the baby was C-sectioned out early.
Corpse, yeah.
Yes. So decomposing, the body was decomposing even on life support to a degree that it could no longer support the life of the child.
Yeah.
Right. No which kind of is an interesting angle in itself, right? That, so the mother's body is actually the more important of the two. That's interesting concept that we learned through this absolute egregious reality.
Yeah.
Like, you wrote a law that made a hospital make a decision that did this.
Yeah.
And I question everybody involved. I've seen politicians from down there, including the one who wrote the law, that was like, yeah, it shouldn't be being interpreted this way. Like, that's not it. But if they would have done it, I know y'all would have sued them. I know you would have.
Right.
I know you would have enacted the law. And I think they did too.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what
their risk management team is really fucking good at their jobs.
Yeah, they said, FAFO, here you go. This is what this could be used for. You want a slippery
Well, no,
slope? Here it is.
it's a very, and it's just, it's an absolute violation of humanity.
Yeah.
It's not, even if you're pro, I don't, life, that's what they call it, pro life. That concept fucks with me. But I didn't even remember what that side was called. So, but let's say you are that way. You are that way from a moral standpoint,
hmm
right? That's it. You're that way from a moral standpoint. One way or the other, no matter how many ways we can slice the pie up, it's a moral standpoint at the end of the day. How is this moral? How is what happened moral? The baby probably isn't going to live. Maybe though, modern technology.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
honestly, I think didn't the baby have a chance of living like back when we were talking about it?
probably. So, but it's a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So, but they
sure.
named the baby Chance. So that be famous for a reason you didn't want to be, man. I promise
Yeah,
you
no
that if you
kidding.
make it, you're gonna be famous for a reason you didn't want to be. And I just can't. I don't know what angle you can come from and tell me that that's okay. I don't know what angle. There's one angle that somebody could come from and be like, well, she deserved it because she was black. I'd be like, at least you said it with your whole chest. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like that's about the only angle I can foresee making any kind of relative sense.
I mean, I
Wrong.
think
I wouldn't agree with that angle in any way, but at least if you said that, I'd be like, okay, you're a fucking racist piece of shit, and that's why you feel that way.
right, right,
I
right.
can at least understand how you got there. I can't understand how any average person who is pro life because babies are life would want life to decompose horribly while her other child held her hand and thought she was sleeping.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you fucking people? Like, what is, I understand that we're very divisive now, and we're in a very different time, right? We're in where our political identities extremely much so preclude or decide whether people are going to interact, which kind of
Yeah.
sucks because outside of politics, most people get along. I'm just going to be honest. Outside of religion and politics, human beings generally get along unless you're just an absolute fucking douche nozzle.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
So,
religion influence politics, and those two things are the majority of what people live off of or die off of. Mm.
right. And there's irony in that, right? Like the other side is so like pro founder and pro constitution and pro founder and smartest people ever and smartest
Yeah.
people ever. They
Rule of
exclusively
law.
told you that these were the two most dangerous things in the world:
Yeah.
religion and government.
Yep.
So these brilliant men that you admire, but
Revere.
yet
Yeah.
know nothing about
Mm.
or don't understand the concepts of the design.
Yep.
And you want to, we're literally 8 years ago so much closer to realizing the actual original dream. And now we've been set back 40 years. And
Right
by
back
the
to
end
the
of
Tea
this, we
Party.
might
Yeah.
be back 100 years. And we have to start all over again because, like, what I will give them is what they did create human beings don't deserve. They can't be trusted with it because this is what we do with it.
Yeah.
Now we're going to tell a woman that she has to be on life support. No, like the founders would have supported. The founders couldn't conceptualize fucking life support.
Right. Right.
Like the world has changed so unbelievably much since they were wearing fake hair.
Yeah.
Which
People
I
still
do
wear
think.
fake hair.
Listen, I mean, I think the white wig coming back could be cool for me. I'm just saying.
I mean, I know
So,
I know some chicks that have pulled it off real well.
well, yeah, but I'm a boy in both worlds, the old one and this one.
Mhm.
So, um, it's just I don't know. I just don't, and it's a shame.
So when you were talking about you know, the morality around surrounding the situation, I was in my mind I was gonna I was thinking the the machines from the Matrix would have supported that decision.
Oh, for sure. That's what the fuck they were doing. So, and the worst part is these people sided with Neo when they watched The Matrix. That's the
Right.
other part. You
Oh, I mean,
always side with the
just
you
like,
side with the resistance until
yeah,
you're supposed to be the
just like
resistance.
last week we were talking about Star Wars.
Yes. You side with the resistance until you're it's time to be the resistance. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you want to side with the
Then you want to be a
authoritarian. I don't
stormtrooper. Yeah.
yeah, I don't understand. I don't so there's been more talk of like so we had the No King's Day protests on the same day as the um Army's 250th birthday parade, which I don't think they were gonna have until Lynn Dick wanted it.
Yeah. No, it
So
was Trump's birthday.
it's yeah, it's his version of a lifted truck. So I won't go like see the left does dumb shit too, and it only gives stupid people firepower, and it pisses me off when they do
Well,
it.
and one thing that the left did communicate really, really well this time. No violence. And I heard it, we talked about it last week, but I heard it all over the place. You
I
know,
agree with that. So, but on the right side, what the left did do is all of they shared pictures of the height of the protest in all these different places for No
mm,
Kings. And then they showed like the 11 a.m.
of
of the
Trump.
parade. And
I
I'm like,
know
that's there way more people showed up than that. You're
exactly.
still dwarfing them
Yeah.
in the No Kings. You're still
Yeah,
dwarfing
yeah.
them. But
Yep.
now you've made it look like you're just a fucking liar.
Right. Exactly. I thought the exact same
Because
thing.
but then this goes back to so you can see it there. You
Yeah.
know that's horse shit. But you don't know that this is horse shit.
Yeah.
Both are allowed to be horse shit. And for most of my adult life, outside of 4 or 5 topics, everybody agreed that the rest of it was bullshit anyways.
Right,
And
right.
that they're all lying through their fucking teeth.
Yeah. Yep. Now,
So
now,
like
now there's only one or two topics that people do agree on, and the rest is everybody's
no.
lying, or the
There's
other
one or
side's
two
lying.
that's not true. There's 1 or 2 topics people openly admit they agree on.
Right, right.
I have actually found rarely the gem. I call them the diamond in the rough or the needle in the stack of needles. Um, where they will come out and they'll be like, wow, we actually agree on quite a lot. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Because quite a lot is fucking common sense.
Right.
And we just want common sense government. That's it. Common sense government. We're all stupid and smart enough to understand that this doesn't work. We need to do this a little different
Yeah.
and we need y'all to figure it out because that's your job. So and that doesn't happen, but it's like I don't they see it there, but why do we do that? On the left, why do you do that? Why do you and then all your influencers do it? And then the other thing the left influencers do that blow my mind is point out the choreograph nature of the right influencers on Twitter
Mhm.
while completely ignoring the choreographed nature of the left influencer. You don't realize 42 other influencers are posting a very similar thing right now in the same moment because you've all got the same fucking email just like them. It's a
Yep.
part of the machine, right? So then the other side sees that. Well, how do you say it? Because you do it, right? And it's we're going fucking nowhere. We're literally. I've made the analogy to people numerous times in discussing life growth
Yeah.
that a lot of people I know and myself at a certain point in time, I've told them like where we grew up, go sit here and watch this revolving door and just watch it and watch it and watch it. When it starts to resemble your life, you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what the influencers are. It's just this fucking endless whirlpool of the same shit when real lives are in play.
Yeah. Well,
Not
and that's always been one of the hardest things for since the inception of social media and that technology has divorced us from connecting with real people while giving us a chance to affect real people. And so we are completely divorced from the consequences of not only our actions, but of any reality that happens. You know, they don't even see like, that that Trump's ICE raids and stuff like that is causing America as a whole to have anxiety to the point where we're going to see a rise in violence across all demographics.
We
You know,
have.
right. Well, ongoing right now, we don't have all of those numbers yet, but we're gonna see the totality of it once we're able to aggregate all that data. And yeah, based on last time, we saw what that did, and the rise in violence because of just his rhetoric. This time, there's actual oppression, oppressive entities going out there and causing that stress in real time, in real space.
No,
So
100%. People are over it already, and it's only going to get worse, right? So, I guess like the other part though, there were protests and they were strong, and I've seen estimations between 6 and 11 million. Um, I'm tending to want to believe it's 11 million. That's just me. So that's what
there
I'm going
was
to choose to believe.
I think it was New York. New York had like 400,000 come out,
Yeah, Philly was
and
fucking huge, bro.
and they only had like 5 arrests.
Yeah,
So
there wasn't a lot of people arrested anywhere um over that. The military parade, my problem with that is I'm fully understand that people went to that to see it, and I
right,
understand that because I'm the guy who loves the 4th of July, right? Like
right, right.
I'm I'm as American as it gets, as much as they don't want to
Yep.
agree that I'm American. I'm
No.
as American as it gets. I'm blue-blooded as hell. I just actually believe in the shit. All of it, even the parts I don't like. So, but they want to do that. But we don't do that type of parade. That's my
Right.
problem with it.
And
We're
and
the
I
big dog on the planet, and everybody fucking knows it. We don't need to prove it to anybody, and
yeah.
that's why we don't do it. It's not that we don't need to flex. We flexed a lot. You can
Well,
call some people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and ask them about our flex, right? Like, and
I've told people, like, I've told a lot of people, the army doesn't need to celebrate by showing off. We do that by getting our boots on the ground and neutralizing threats. Like, there are enough journalists that come with us. There's enough video of what we really do. We don't need to walk down the street with a tank and go, "Look at us."
right. Hey, dude, you just play that speech that happened a few years back where he's like, we don't want war. But if you want war, I'll promise you one thing. Somebody
Yeah.
else will be raising your sons and daughters.
Right.
Like, and that's yes. That's yes. And it's factual.
Right.
It's that we've proven it new. Like you can say we've lost some modern conflicts. I haven't seen a full scale war, and war does look different, but I haven't seen a full scale war since World War II, right? Not that we were directly involved in and we weren't proxying out, right?
Yeah.
But the conflicts, right? Which for the boys there, that was war. No, no shame to you. You guys did some, especially Vietnam. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That was fucking hell. I guarantee it. The jungle was fucking hell. But we maybe lost, but we still had 25 to 1, 30 to 150 to 1 kill ratios.
1,000 to 1.
So, right, we technically lost, but your country had 2/8, a quarter of its
Well,
population
what
remaining
what's
when we were
what's the
going in.
metric of lost?
Well, that's
That's what it
yes.
is. Because we actually go in there with, the intention of helping people in the at least that's what we're told we're doing. So, and they strung us along there without ever really putting together a new government, without having a clear mission, objective, and goals that could be met, you know. So, when we left Iraq, we had actually installed a new government, and they were there, and we had run it with them so that it was a clean handoff. What we didn't do is that with Afghanistan, and then with Vietnam, it was just the the unrest in America was so high at that pivotal point that Americans had no belly for it, and they actually held their civil servants accountable with their votes. So they ended that conflict. They say what they'll say is that we won the war on terrorism. We just didn't beat you know the Taliban because they were a pseudo government that just allowed terrorists to operate. So once we got bored of being there and harvesting all their heroin, we decided to come home without a clear objective being met. That's the
Listen,
loss.
I don't think the Army knows the CIA. I think they know, but I don't think that's why they're there. I think the CIA does that to fund black ops, and we'll leave that at that.
Oh no, they know. They know.
Oh, well, that's cool. Hey, what are you
They
talking about, bro? It's a capitalism.
know.
So if you fight me, oh, you can't fight me? Too bad. I get it then. Debo,
Right.
man. No. So but there's more, and then there's been a lot of back and forth. Trump took off out of the G7 like a bat out of hell. Jumped on his airplane, convened his National Security Council partially in the car, and then had the rest of the location when he got
Yep.
there. Um, Lots of chatter on whether we are going to get involved in the Israel-Iran conflict by joining Israel in the old bombing of Tehran and nuclear facilities and such. Trump was very sounding like rah rah war. We're doing it. It's going to go. We've definitely distributed quite a lot of assets. Um, Aerial assets to be exact. We've committed a lot of assets to where CENTCOM is for the Middle East, and we do enough in the Middle East. Everybody knows where that is. You don't even need somebody to tell you.
Right.
We all know CENTCOM for the Middle East because we like to fight there. That's a thing we do. Fighting in the desert is a thing we like to do for some reason. Probably because we'd only have a very small portion of actual desert in America. It's our least featured landscape, so we want to go see more of it.
No,
Um,
no, that's not why we like going there. I don't no, we don't like
Oh,
going there.
it's
We
because
don't
they
like
have
it.
you don't like going there. The Warriors don't like going. The people in charge very much like going.
Yes, because it has oil in
Uh,
it.
it has oil in it. So Earth's lifeblood for sure.
So,
But
so, so
he
what I'm hearing is that they are going to join with Israel on the bombing runs, and then the 2 week um, decision making process has got diplomats all trying to scramble to try to get talks reignited.
oh,
But
you mean like the peace deal that you threw out your first time around?
I thought Jared fixed the Middle East, so
Well, we threw out the Iran deal and then assassinated their people. So, no, but what it did do is it's another move. So I've seen it. So I've seen the Gestapo like ICE tactics, and I've seen that have an effect on a certain portion of coalition and MAGA. That's the newest portion. That's had a negative effect. The fact that he is seemingly wanting to get involved in the war, and he's the no wars, peacetime, peace through strength, right? President, but the no wars, he's no wars, right? So that's fracturing a coalitional part of MAGA. It's really interesting.
yeah.
You got Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz going at it in an interview.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
I saw
cute.
that.
Yeah, that was cute. So MAGA's there's a portion now. Of course, the leftover plays their hands like he's gonna lose 80% of MAGA. No, the fuck he's not. But 10, 15, 20%?
That's
Probably.
enough.
And that's more than enough.
Yeah,
For a very stapled together paper mache coalition.
yeah.
So it's just I don't know. I go back to like I don't their Iranian leader did come out and say, "Cool, we'll do no nukes if Israel does no nukes," and I think that's a fair trade. Nobody in the Middle East is allowed to have nukes because y'all a little bit crazier than the rest of us currently. Currently, so and we're the craziest of them all, but we have so fucking many we couldn't get rid of them if we wanted to. So we have enough to kill everybody 12 times at the in the same instant.
And the worst part is
So
that if we start lobbing, then everybody else joins in. So
yeah, and then somebody pulls up on us in a couple billion years. It's like, I wonder what happened to this planet.
yeah. Oh yeah.
They blew themselves up. We'll be like, well, Robert
They
can't find
harness the
us
atom and fuck themselves up.
because they were once again not worthy.
Right.
Human beings are not worthy. But so we had that all happen, and he's just so scattered. And then there was a headline in the Daily Mail. I'm pretty sure that's a UK outlet. And if it is a UK outlet, then there's a good chance it's probably tabloid. I don't keep up on UK politics or newspaper. I know their tabloids are really bad. Um, the wife loves the Victoria era and the kings and queens, and I think she loves it. I know way more about it. I've
So does
watched
the
a lot
best
of
friend.
shows.
So I feel your
Yeah,
pain.
I've watched a lot of shows about it. I've watched, you know what I'm saying? Um, and I just don't get involved though. So, but Christy Nome was sent to the hospital the other day. I guess it was an anaphylactic shock. She had an allergic reaction to something. But the
Reality.
UK Mail's headline was "Ice Barbie rushed to hospital," and I thought that was pretty funny myself. But they got big mad that we were objectifying a woman on the left. And you
Oh
know
my
what?
God, by calling her
Hold
Barbie?
on,
Really?
hold on though. Yeah, because we're reducing her to her look. It's really weird to watch the right talk about this. So, like, you learned all of these words from us in kindergarten while we were trying to raise you.
Yo,
You,
that's a good boy.
yeah, you learned all of it. It is like good boy moment when I'm like, oh wow, so you do understand.
Yeah. Oh,
Very interesting. However, my point to that is, as much as I generally agree with the statement, we're not the one that made her the Ice Barbie. She made her fucking self the Ice Barbie.
yeah.
Like all these photo ops, staged magazine quality cover
Hmm.
photo ops that she's put in, doing her job in the field
Yeah.
all over the place.
Pose. Like,
There's, yes,
pose,
pose,
pose.
it's magazine. Like, I have never seen so many magazine quality portraits of any politician,
Right.
let alone some random cabinet member. But
Yeah.
any politician, no president, no, not even the fucking narcissistic god has this many. He's got some, but he doesn't have this many. If he ever watches this, he'll immediately get more. But we're not the ones who did that. We didn't objectify her. You did,
Right.
because it's
Right.
part of your propaganda machine. It's part of your paparazzi
Well,
scheme,
and
right? To
they
make
support
everyone feel
misogynism.
like this is
So
just another reality TV show on MTV, and there's not real lives at stake. We no longer, we've passed the point. We no longer argue policy. We no
yeah.
longer disagree about policy. We have
Yep.
reached the point where this is solely about humanity.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and that is why it is so unbelievably divisive. Now, I don't think they're bad people. I've stated that a lot. I know not everybody on these podcasts are out in this world agrees with me with that. I know a lot of these people, right? I knew them growing up. I know them now. They're not bad people. There's
yeah.
nothing about them bad except for they condone this. And I think a lot of them condone it because, like you said, it's not that IQ is how quickly you can learn, therefore, how much you can learn.
Yeah.
It's not a factor of whether you can or cannot learn. All people can learn, and so these are simple people who learned what you know
Yeah. The limits of
they need to
their
know.
ability
Well,
to
they
learn.
need
Yeah.
to know. Yeah, they focused and channeled themselves, and they're doing it for the same reason:
Yeah.
family and love of country, and it's for the same reason. So I don't think these are inherently bad people. I don't understand why they can't see it when they can see it on the other side. They can see it when we do it, but they can't see it. I see it from both sides, and I know
I
that
don't really,
that's
yeah,
intelligent.
I agree with you. I feel the same way. I like with what we were talking about with the parade, I don't condone that. I didn't share any of that because I thought it was terrible. Like, why would you try to sell that story when it was clearly people just getting there? Like,
Right?
don't try to lie as good as them, you know? but
I also, so you
but
were in the
what I
military.
disagree with you on is that you don't understand why they can't see it, but they see it in us. I don't think that they see it.
They're told it.
They're told it, and because they're told it, then they repeat it. But and they don't have the ability to self reflect and to self criticize, because the entire reason why we're in such a polarized state is because of the the inability for people to utilize cognitive dissonance in order to have anxiety, in order to learn something new, in order to reduce their anxiety. That skill is gone. And when we lose that ability to use our critical thinking skills in order to learn something, so that our anxiety, fears, and anger about things are reduced, then we're not able to then reflect back on ourselves and recognize our part in it. So, and when we're talking about, intelligent people not having that capability as much anymore, less intelligent people are going to be even more so unable to do that. That's why you see those loud talking heads, like the influencers you were talking about earlier. They don't have that capability, so they don't. So they could never sit there and self-reflect enough,
Yeah.
because
So
all they're doing, they don't have a them. They just have their channel. They just have their content. So it has nothing to do with them.
you're probably right. Charlie Kirk did drop out of community college to start TPAC,
I have no idea what they're called. I just know that
It's I
he's
know it
he's
actually. I
ridiculous.
mean, it became a very prominent organization. I'm sure he became very wealthy off of it. I got to give him a lot of. I mean, it's huge. So, but yeah, so we did have very peaceful process. Not mostly peaceful this time, folks. Sorry to disappoint you. Very peaceful, bitches.
Yeah.
So they did that. There was a lot of talk. They get mad. They get real mad that we. It's really fucking ironic the shit they get mad at. So you get mad that we protest. There's nothing more American than fucking
Right.
America kicked off their revolution by protesting. You
Yeah,
stupid
they named
infidel
a whole
fucks.
sect of the Republican Party after a protest,
Correct.
and it was a violent protest.
A very violent protest. So like there's nothing more fucking American, pure red blooded American than fucking protesting
Yeah.
people. So you then there's a video circulating, they got some virality because they just love to hate. Like it's too obviously probably stereotypical appearance wise liberal women. Because there are some stereotypes out there that do fit a lot. So they're very stereotypical, and they're at a ball game and they don't stand up for the national anthem, and they're like these ignorant, disrespectful, egregious, and I'm like, do you know what the fucking word freedom means? Are you
Uh,
actually familiar with the concept?
well, and one thing I
They cannot stand up because people died for them to be
right,
able to not
right,
stand up.
yeah. I,
And
I've said that
you
a lot.
always want to be mad. Like their version of being proper to America is fireworks and flags.
Well, because they're so what I've changed away from, pointing out the fact that, freedom, the conceptual thought of freedom, because it's a concept that's hard for them. So I just put it at them like this. You feel that way because you have felt the the benefits of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. You have felt like those promises were upheld for you. These
We
people haven't. And until they do feel like that promise has been upheld to
ooh,
them, they don't owe us shit. They don't owe the country anything, because there are promises that they are seeing Americans get upheld, that they're unfamiliar with.
That's a really
So
interesting angle, right? Like, so they don't support the patriotism part because they don't feel like America's delivered.
right,
So that's a fair angle. I still think ultimately at the end of the day, like I don't agree with it personally, but it's sheerly personally. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna take my head off. I'm not gonna put my hand on my heart unless I'm wearing a hat. Then I'll put the hat over my heart. But if I'm not wearing a hat, I will stand up. I'll put my arms behind my back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not putting my hand on my heart. That's too nationalist for me. That's
mhm,
just a little too far, but I'm 100% support America. But I absolutely positively think that you sitting is an equal demonstration of your support of America in your own way.
right,
Like they
right,
don't they don't they don't understand it that way, but when I see that, makes me even more proud that you can be arrested and shot for that in other countries.
right.
You can be murdered for that in other countries. You can be detained and put in work camps for that in other countries.
Well, you can't hear
So,
now too. So,
well, okay, that's coming. That's so fucking true. That's for being brown, though, not for not standing up to the national
yeah.
anthem. So,
I don't know. I don't know. Those brown people were talking a lot, and they got detained for that, kidnapped and detained for that.
well,
So,
yeah, on masked, unmarked, no uniform, unmarked cars. I'd open fire. That's all I'm saying. Like,
right.
I don't know who the fuck you are.
I've
Like,
made that case to many a redneck.
so there was when they were talking about the protest, there was people talking about, you can just run them over. Okay, so that's only true in a few states, people, by the way. But in one of the states, it is legal. One of the states, it's definitely not legal, is California, where it did happen a couple of times. But California also really has no means of defense. But one state it is legal is Florida. And I'm just saying, should a crowd of people attack your car to make you pay want to plunge through? No,
Yeah.
they shouldn't. It's bullshit.
Right.
Especially if you have your family in that car, I fully understand what you're doing. I would also try to save myself in any way possible. The problem comes where if I'm in that crowd and I'm 200 feet from where it starts, and I have no idea that that happened to you.
Right.
All I see you is plowing through a crowd in a car towards me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to miss,
Nope.
and they're going to bury you.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to lose in court either
Nope.
because I am
Feared for
legally
your life.
allowed.
Yeah.
I'm legally allowed to defend myself in that state
I mean,
and stand my
if you have
ground
a
in
gun, you're
doing
almost
so.
obligated, in my mind.
Yes, that is also true. So, but if I would know why you were doing it, then I wouldn't be prone to want to shoot you because you're just
Well, you
trying to protect
like
yourself.
I would be urging people to back away. You have no right to
Correct. Well,
detain.
that's the
You know.
people countered me, and they're like, "Well, you're violently attacking the guard." See, that's the part of the equation you don't get. I wouldn't violently attack the guard.
Right.
I would give you no reason to run me the fuck over.
Right.
I also probably wouldn't
If anything, I'm
protest
going to
in the
stand up
middle
for
of
you,
the
even if
street.
I disagree with you.
Yes, I'm probably not going to protest in the middle of the street either. That's
Yeah.
that's probably not what right to peacefully assemble means something to me as well because I read the document, people. Um, but it's they can't hesitate to bring it up, like
Yeah.
and it's visually happening in a smaller sect on the left as well, but y'all just can't wait to hurt each other. And
I mean, we've talked about the
it's
rhetoric has been getting more, it's devolved into more and more anger and,
well, the
threats back
rhetoric
and
is
forth.
dangerous, right?
Mhm.
The rhetoric is very dangerous.
Well,
Both
I
sides.
mean, if you look at where the rhetoric is stemming from, an idiot with power, then, then the one side is going to up their rhetoric. And when you pull one way too far, somebody has to pull the other way to keep the balance.
Yeah, there's definitely a physics phrase for that. So, but I just, the rhetoric is like, so you want to plow, and here's the thing, people, none of you want to, okay? You can fantasize about the war. You can, a lot of MAGA's Gen X people, right? Okay, I'm just to be honest, a very bulk of the base, the loud base, the cat turd followers, and they're very Gen X heavy, very Gen X heavy,
Mhm.
right? So what I would call the core of MAGA is probably Gen X. And
Yeah.
you can't fight a fucking war anymore.
Hey,
You're
I'm
fucking
fat, but
old.
I can still run. I promise.
Well, okay, cool. But how many days can we play war now? Okay. Are we gonna make it 4 weeks? No, bro, we're not gonna make it 72 fucking hours. Right. And I'm not talking about getting shot and dying. I'm
Oh,
talking about
dude,
you can't walk anymore.
one firefight and 99% of Americans are done. Not
Done.
because they're dead, because
No.
they can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
It
Because
hurts. It hurts a lot.
so it's and the MAGA people are like, you don't want to fight us. Really?
I don't
I
mind.
I don't want to fight anybody, right? I don't want that road. But why do you think we're afraid of you?
I love watching fat
I know
motherfuckers
that
huff and
you're
puff.
58 years old, overweight as fuck, and been living the good life for at least the last 10 years because your housing market was still
And
fantastic.
bragging about eating bacon all the time.
Yeah, like
I don't even have to shoot. All I have to do
yes,
is make you run long enough.
yeah, yes, you can shoot. I'll give you that. I will. But do you forget that you were trained to shoot and they can be trained with a younger, more vibrant, well funded group of people?
Yeah.
Are you stupid? Like, I understand that stereotypes make you think it's an eat, like you win the war and you're home for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not your wife having her eighth child and going home and cooking that night. That's not what this is, people. It's that
But
you're gonna. And now, like I said, there are 2.5% of MAGA that are absolutely fucking terrifying. I know you could fight, and I know you're a damn good killer. Without a doubt, you're a killer, you're a murderer, and you murdered for this country in very different ways, and you're fucking good at it. And I give you that, and you've probably kept yourself in shape, and you do the thing, and you know what I'm saying. Like, yes, you're dangerous. However, you're underfunded, vastly underfunded,
well,
and
and
that's where
and
the advantage. And
and those
pound
guys,
for pound, I think you're outnumbered.
yeah, well, and those guys, they either are still that way because they're still using those skill sets in
Facts.
civilian life, or they've had enough. Like I I I don't ever go looking for a fight anymore because I've had enough of it. I don't need to experience violence anymore to feel alive. I've had my fill.
I'm
So,
with you, right? So I don't want to do it.
right.
However, I crave the fucking violence for real. I love the fucking violence. It excites me. Like I don't want to fight because I'm not going to walk good for a week. I know I'm not. In a fight I win, I'm not going to walk good for a week.
Right,
And
right,
there is a 22-year-old out there that could beat the fuck out of me. I'm fully aware of that because I was that 22-year-old.
right.
Right? I'm fully aware that pound for pound, if you're as good as me, I'm in trouble because I'm old.
Hmm.
So, but I don't want to fight, but yeah, and then you openly will admit that we have more mental patients on our side. You want to fight the fucking mental patients, dude? Have you the mental patients when I was an absolute fucking warrior were the only people I was afraid of.
Ralph.
The homeless people don't scare me. The crazy homeless people terrify me because they're not right up there. And this is not a logical decision making machine like it's supposed to be. It's
Right.
fucking broken. And it
Yeah.
will decide things that you are not prepared for.
Yeah. They will bite your nose off.
They're okay with death in ways you never imagined.
Right.
They're emo as fuck, bro. You're not. You like chicken. So, but um, go into the rhetoric and go into how it creates violence. So there was an event I just found out about a few days ago. I'm still very under researched, and I'll say it was declared a suicide. But there's a man by the name of Earl Smith in Albany, New York, who was found hung from a tree in like the middle of Albany.
Hmm.
Like not in like some random back, like people live here. And
Yeah.
Earl's hanging from a tree. Now it's declared a suicide. There's obviously a lot of people who are like, nah, Earl wouldn't have killed himself. You know what I'm saying? I don't know Earl, and I don't know enough of the story, and but I'm tended to believe that it is possible more so today than I would have believed 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That we have empowered the white right so much with this administration and the talking heads that aren't talked about. So lots of people are starting to notice that Stephen Miller's actually in charge.
He is
And he is
he
actually,
is driving a lot of policy. I will agree with that.
yes. Well, and you can go back to his time as the editor of Duke's newspaper when he was in college and read his editorials
Yeah.
and find out he's always been white is right. Okay.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
always been that way.
Yeah.
Because people stuck him in lockers
Hmm.
and he looks like a penis and
Yeah.
Elon fucked his wife and we'll leave it at that. But the Steve Bannons of the world, right? They also are very white as right nationalists, tear the machine down,
Yeah,
and
but I think he's more capitalist white than he is.
he is, but he's white. He's white as right.
Right,
He's
right.
very like, and he's one of the prominent talking heads that the Proud
Sure.
Boys listen to and the Oath
Well,
Keepers listen to.
he might not be a talking head as much anymore, but he is a driving force
And well,
for,
no,
for
he's
those
just not.
talking heads to have a voice.
He's not popular. He's aimed.
Well, and he
Yeah, he
facilitates a
doesn't
lot.
have. Yeah, he doesn't. He facilitates more than people know.
Right.
So, but he's very, his podcast is very followed by the white is right groups that we're fully aware exist. Um, so like they're out in plain fucking sight again. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what it is, right? And eh, did we really have somebody get lynched in 2025? Like, did it like to Earl Smith's family, like if he did kill himself, that's sad as fuck that somebody felt like they had to do that. Right.
And do so
And then
as publicly and
right.
gruesomely as
And then Trump is dismantling suicide hotlines, but we'll get over it. We won't bring that part up.
oh,
Or
we
he
can go
was
ahead and go there right now
the
because
BBC.
yeah,
Oh
BBC
shit.
is showing that Trump is ending funding for the LGBTQ youth option for the National Suicide Hotline, basically shutting down a whole department that supports young people who are in crisis. Um, yeah.
Specifically LGBTQ people, because that's what I say when I talk about it's weird that I didn't even know you had that. And you yeah. So Earl winning it. So suicide potential, that's like very themic of the episode, right? That this is about humanity.
Yeah.
So I will say that you don't have to agree with it. You don't.
Nope.
And if you don't, there's a part of me that understands why you don't. I don't agree with you, but there's a part of me that understands. But my non-agreement with you is very simple. I don't give a fuck. It's not my life. It's not my business. Do you? And I've always been that way. If it makes you happy and it doesn't fuck with other people, have fun, dude. You know what I'm saying? Whether you should, shouldn't, whatever, do your thing. I've done things you shouldn't do. You've done things, but if
Yeah, but
to
when
single out a group of human beings and say they don't belong.
well, and here's the thing, it translates into this. This is what my fear is when it comes to this. This is what it's translating into. Violence against children.
That's super interesting. I,
Worldwide, violence against children is at the highest point in hundreds of years. And
in emerging countries minus Gaza, we know why that's happening.
sure, sure.
But the rest are definitely emerging countries.
Well, it's not just there either. So
it's because yeah, no, there's a thing to it. Like, and I'm not against it. I'm here for it. Like you're telling these, that's what I'm saying. There's a humanity aspect to this. And
Yes.
you're telling people that children don't matter, or these children don't matter, or those children don't matter, or some children don't matter, or blue children don't matter, or green children don't matter, or
Or it's not your problem.
Hindu,
It's not my
right, Hindu
problem.
children.
Not my problem.
So I don't give a fuck, but I'll make it my problem.
Right.
So because I believe that you have a right to exist. That's it. And that you should have access to all the same services and all of it. Just whatever there is, you should have access. And I'm gonna be honest with you. At the end of the day, none of it's that great.
It doesn't
I
have to
don't
be that great as
right.
long as everybody gets a
Everyone's
chance,
given
you know?
equal opportunity, right? Equal. Now I hate to use that because they're gonna tell me that's a DEI punchline.
Let's
Dude,
not
I'm
say
fucking
DEI. Let's
thoroughly
say
shocked these
diversity,
people.
equity, and inclusion.
Bro, I can't say that because I'm shocked they can fucking spell DEI. So, and not get that wrong half the time.
They do.
So, they do. You're so fucking right. These people are so stupid. And when I say that, I primarily mean like the super, like they're just goddamn, you're dumb. If I have argued with you on Twitter, you're probably a fucking moron. That's all I gotta say. Um, and And I understand why you want low skill manual labor jobs because that's all your bloodline's going to be capable of. I get it. But we're trying to help you out here and increase that a little bit. Just saying. But people do belong, and you shouldn't. They very much singled out brown people that speak Spanish primarily. Um, Not a lot
Well,
of European immigrants that are here.
what they've targeted is people that can be identified as other.
Correct.
So
But I mean, they have atrocious fucking results though. And now we have to make
I
it a
mean,
public. Like, I
they're
don't
trying to use
think that
fear and
this,
hate. I thought that we had
because I
gotten over
don't
that
think,
as a
no, I
species.
don't think that would have happened if they would have gotten good results. But you put the fucking ice Barbie in charge and she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. If you,
That's because it's all propaganda based. It's all fear and anger based,
right,
and
well,
that
that's,
only
there's
goes so
people
far.
out here who can actually do that job for you the way you wanted it done. Put a Holden in charge. I don't agree with the man, but he'll get the job done.
Yeah,
He'll,
but he wouldn't do it with the same objective in mind. You know,
no, you
that's
do
the
it the way
thing.
that would make it done.
Yeah, but that's not done. Isn't what
Yeah, because you
isn't
can't
really
win the
what their
next election
motivation
on
is.
completed.
Right. They don't want to complete a project because then it's done.
They do though. They want it to be a white. Like I'm trying to tell people that brown is
Yeah,
where we're starting.
but that can't happen without a very large and encompassing plan that has a lot of facets to it. That's why they're sending these ice raids to specific areas in order to try to get a violent reaction. That way they can then impose the next step, then the next step.
We also
So,
did that in Nazi Germany.
right. Because
We sent our brown shirts into highly predominant left areas to talk about the
Mhm.
evils and show the evils of the communists.
Right.
I will never ever ever relent on the fact that you can tell me that it's overused or whatever, but I didn't write the fucking playbook, and I'm not the one fucking using it.
Playing it.
I'm the
Yeah.
one fucking watching it happen though. And I can read about the one playbook and then look at the fuck. You can see it fucking
Yeah.
happening. You just aren't being told that's what's happening. And
Well,
dude,
yeah.
Barnum,
Well,
P.T. Barnum had nothing on Donald Trump.
oh no, no. I mean,
Donald Trump has created the most suckers in the history of mankind.
I keep saying it like if there is anything to be said about the man, if he has a genius, it is in creating a situation where he gets people to agree with him even though he's a horrible human being. You know, like
Yeah.
oh, so something else that happened this week. Um the E. Jean Carroll payout. Number one, they won't rehear it, so he lost that appeal. And then two, the DOJ tried to take that judgment on so that the American people would have had to pay her instead of Donald Trump. The DOJ did that.
Yeah, because we're all sycophants now.
And they denied that. So
Well, yeah, because we're all sycophants now. And you guys, if you're on MAGA side and you're hating us, you haven't made it this far. But if you have made it this far, you're gonna have to move it. And then while you're reading it, just understand it's you. So I don't know. We've oh my God. I don't we're gonna win. And we're gonna win, and I heard it and I saw it. I don't know
well,
where I saw
the only problem is that the last time this playbook was used, we didn't react fast enough, and we only won because
nobody else can win that one. Not this time. It's us. No, I what I read or heard, it was heard. I was probably on TikTok. And it was just a lady talking, and she was from a Eastern European country, and we'll leave it at that. Has very firsthand experience with these types of things in multiple centuries. Um, and she brought up a really good point. These guys always lose, and they've lost all the way through history.
I don't know. I don't know.
They always lose in the long run, and I think there's a big enough. I think no king proof. There's a big enough core.
So I will say that I feel like a tide did turn a little bit. Um, I feel like the Trump momentum has slowed down significantly, and because they're hitting too many brick walls, the overall feeling is that this he doesn't have the support that he thinks he does in order to go as far as he wants to.
I've
So
heard I've heard whispers in unsubstantiated political circles I stay in, that I don't often talk about, that he has been questioning whether the support he's being told he has is actually what he is, because he saw the protests. He
yeah,
saw them with his own eyes. He
right.
understands. We don't fucking like you, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, and
but
and and even though he did see his parade and whatnot, um, I read something about how he drilled Hegseth because the soldiers were having a good time, and he didn't think that the soldiers should be having a good time. They should have taken that
no,
seriously.
he went in North Korea and
Exactly.
communist China and the military. Now there are people on the left trying to say that was like quiet rebellion. It's not.
No,
Um,
no, that was just laziness,
if you
really.
watch him talk at graduations and things like this, they fucking love it. And you just have to accept that. But he, I think I think in football. So in football, a head coach comes into a game with a script.
Right.
It's like the first 20 plays or so, and the team can execute that script extremely.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
they practice it a lot. They can extreme. So I think we're reaching a point where we're beyond that script.
Well, yeah, because
And now you actually have to be an intelligent coach and be able to coach the game. And you
and
can't.
he's not. Yeah.
And the people who wrote the script are now in charge of these agencies and they have to do this thing and they
Hmm.
can't help write the script for him
Yeah.
anymore because you're a fucking cuck, bro. You're a moron. I don't think his wife
And
likes him either. She's never around.
who's that?
So his wife,
Oh, Melania?
yeah.
She was never
She
around.
I
She,
know
she
I don't know if that's a thing or if like that's the epitome I married for money or if
oh,
that's the. I mean, come on, there's no way, bro. He's not that funny, and I guarantee it
funny
ain't
at
big.
all. Do
Well,
people think he's
I
funny?
guarantee it, and I guarantee it ain't big.
Well, we've all heard it's not. So from somebody I
Well,
would trust to let us
that's
know.
that's actually Stormy did Daniels a lot of stories there. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're here. You know, we're in this. We're in it, and I saw a lot of hope.
Yeah.
See, 6 million, 11 million doesn't make a big difference to me. That's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot of millions.
A lot of people to step out of their life and
Right.
say, this isn't okay.
And I'm starting to see some polls, which I don't love polls in anywhere near like I used to. Back in the when they were way more direct than they are now. That the young men are starting to move back to the left, and I have my own theorem about that. They're saying it's like our attacks and our ads are working. I think it's because the chicks won't fuck them.
Because what?
They can't get laid.
Oh, yeah. Well,
If I was a 22-year-old man and I had thoughts and opinions that consistently kept me from getting laid,
they change. They do change. We've seen it over and
wow,
over again.
yeah, like I believe a whole new shit now.
Oh my
So
God. I mean, I can even name three people off the top of my head who become hardcore conservatives every time they're single. And then as soon as they get a girlfriend,
it's factual. It's factual. So all right, that's a good week. We have
uh,
protests and
one
parades,
last
and oh,
thing.
you got one more?
One last thing.
Oh no, I don't want to talk about this, dude. The Fed's playing the Fed. Dude, that's pissed off the head of Franny Mac, so fucking bad that he has been going on an absolute tirade on Twitter about it. An absolute fucking tirade that this will destroy the housing market.
Well, I mean, oh darn. Like it won't, because we don't have subprime loans that are gonna, become it. It's not because of the interest rate that the housing market is gonna die. It's because economic growth is slowing, and we're going to see jobless claims go up, and therefore we will end up with foreclosures. Like it it's a process of cause and effect, and there's nothing in the economy that is so unregulated that we're going to have a financial meltdown. The only thing
Agreed.
that's the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to see a recession, and then Trump is going to try to do something ridiculous that is going to kick it, and then he's going to hit a brick wall with a war or a famine or something, and we're going to
Well, it
see.
looks like it's going to be a war.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, honestly, a war would be a boon, which is why I think he's considering it. But he really doesn't want to be committed. That's it. That's his biggest problem. He doesn't want to commit to anything. And once you commit to a war, you can't back out of that. Like you can't exit a war like you can't exit a marriage without a prenup. Like
He
you're
doesn't
tied
know
to
that.
that bitch.
He can do whatever he wants. He's the orange god. All right. Till next week, we'll be back. There'll be more. He doesn't stop. We don't stop. So our party of three should return next week for sure. Hope he has a great vacation, enjoys time with the family, and get away from all the bullshit. And don't talk politics with strangers because he tends to
Oh,
do that.
I need one of those.
So other than that, please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell everyone. I don't give a fuck. You
We,
can
we
call
want to
me.
we want to hear the bad things too.
Yeah, we do. So Bluebird on your shoulder. Till next week. We'll see you later.
Thanks.